chant the verse once together, because we already entered into this verse last week. Just to reattune to the context, let's chant once, please. Kastvam koham kuta ayataha kame janani kome tataha iti paribhavaya sarvamasaram vishwam tyaktva swapna vicharam. Who are you? Not that I don't know who you are. It is not for me to ask, it's each for you to ask yourself. Who am I? From where did I come? Who is my Janani? Ume Tataha? Who is my father? Iti paribhavaya sarvam asaram, sarvam asaram. The entire, sarvam is the entire Vishwam. The world is asaram. Asaram is essenceless. Thus inquire, and the inquiry begins with having renounced the entire world as essenceless, as a mere dream, swapna vicharam, born of your own imagination. Thank you very much. So this verse stated as self-inquiry. Self-inquiry is a journey inwards, is an inquiry into the truth, inquiry into the very essential purposes of life. Life has many, many purposes. Life consumes us in many, many ways. But if your life is consumed by this inquiry, blessed art thou. That's what the Spirit is. If you are consumed by this inquiry into the truth, which the verse sets us to investigate the mysteries of life. A true inquirer, the true explorer of truth would not be content with mere postulations, mere propositions, mere assumptions as to what is the root cause of all of this that's happening. Because the masters just had everything in them to give, to satisfy, not just merely satisfy, to give every solution, because they knew the truth. But a true inquirer will not be content with mere postulation. Example, if you apply the logic that every creation has to have a creator, isn't it? Wherever you see any creation, instantly you attribute the creation to a creator. There has to be someone behind it, responsible for it. You see a beautiful home, you say, hey, what a beautiful house. I wonder who is the architect behind that. It's a masterpiece of creation. It's a beautiful piece of architecture. There has to be an architect behind that piece of architecture. You see a beautiful lawn, there must be a beautiful gardener or someone, who do you call those people who design those, the entire, what do you call that? I don't know, I'm lost for words. There are people.
Landscape artists.
Landscape artists, you're right. Yes, the landscaper, the landscape artists. Someone has done such a beautiful landscape. I'm sure Sriniji is all the time in such beautiful landscapes in that beautiful golf courses. You know? Is your house in between a golf course by any chance? That should be the next goal, sir. You know? Opposite. Not far away then. Not far away. My guess was right. Huh?
Yeah, we Good morning, Guruji. No, we
Good
are
morning.
fortunate. It's a public course opposite, but my club is a few miles away from my home.
Oh, it's called the Srini Club, huh? My club, Sonninga, what is my club there? I am only trying to interpret your terms. I don't know. I am illiterate. சும்மா நீங்க என்ன சொல்றீங்க அது பத்தி நான் fair enough. So the landscape, somebody has created a beautiful landscape. There has to be a mind and a person who is executing it. Even if somebody has made a mess, who is the culprit behind this mess? It can't happen without it. Similarly, when you posit the same argument and logic that every effect has to have a cause, people looked at the creation, people looked at everything that they're experiencing, and they just said there has to be a creator, isn't it? Nothing can happen without a cause. And they just went about giving a name to that unknown cause. They said God is the creator. Who created the world? God created the world. Oh my God, that answers it all, doesn't it? I didn't know who created it, and they just said God created it. And many people who got that little message from the masters, they were quite content with that mere proposition or postulation or assumption. It doesn't take you anywhere to the truth, because God is also yet another unknown term. God, you do not know what God is. You do not know what is that truth, or what is it that is responsible. But it's a true inquirer, goes beyond that mere assumption. And this is that really sets us into a thought process. He's just asking some baffling questions. Where have I come from? Who are you? Who am I? Every description of yourself is nothing other than the truth. You give your description of your name, your position, your status, your ethnic background, your country, your religion, your sex. You're a male or a female. You give your which caste you belong to, which company you work for, which club you are a member of. Everything is about and about you, but nobody out there can give you a description of who they are. Try. You want to give it a try? Try. You will not know. You do not know who you are. I'll prove it to you. I'm only trying to explain that what that verse means, or the verse is saying, who are you? Do not know who you are. We know everything about and about the truth, but not the truth. As the famous thinker Umar Khayyam says, they talked about and about. I came out to the same door I went in. Nobody is making sense. Nobody means business. You guys want business? Get onto this verse. Who are you? Where have I come from? Why have I come here? These are the things which should really important. In fact, you may say, so why? It's as important as you know the rest of the things. In fact, life cannot go on. Life can never give you that ultimate satisfaction. Even in simple things in life, we all have this satisfaction quotient, don't we? Everything in life has a satisfaction quotient. You're given a small job. You feel good when you do the job well, don't you? You're given an assignment. Even a child, when the child does his assignment well, it feels very happy, it can't contain its joy. Everything insignificant in life has a certain satisfaction quotient. What makes you believe that life itself shouldn't have that quotient? It has that quotient. And what is it that measures that satisfaction quotient in your life? What is it that measures? Hirenji, looks like you seem to have an answer. I want to know the answer.
What is happiness?
Happiness is, what do you mean happiness?
contented for anything you are doing and anything is happening around you,
Around
basically.
around you. Okay. But then you're talking moment to moment, aren't you? I've done a job well. I've been a good parent. I've been a good neighbor. I've been a good member of my society. I've been a good citizen. It's all moment to moment. But when you sit back at some times in your life and look back in your own life from a panoramic perspective and say, has that life fulfilled me? Taking everything into account, does it give me a sense of wholesomeness, completeness, fullness, a satisfaction, or there's some emptiness or a void, or that feeling of satisfaction doesn't come? It has nothing to do with a specific job or a specific project or a specific aspect. I'm telling of life in general. I look back and I fall back into my past and say, how has my life gone? How have I made my life of whatever has happened? Do I have a sense of satisfaction or a sense of guilt or remorse or some kind of discomfort? I'm talking of that. I'm only borrowing that sentiment which you will have in any experience. You should have that experience, isn't it? You
Yeah.
should have the experience, and you should have the experience of satisfaction. But does life give you that sense of satisfaction? That's the question. You may have made money, you may have done charitable work, you may have impacted lives of people, you have traveled the world, you have done everything possible. But if you have not inquired into the truth, I guarantee it. Believe me, I guarantee it, your life is a big void.
Sorry.
Yes. No, please go ahead. Yes.
Can I take the question a step back or back probably? Yeah, step back.
Please.
That if I don't even think that, who am I, where I came from, where am I going to go, it doesn't bother me. Is it going to be called indifference, or is it I am kind of satisfied enough and so it doesn't bother me with that question? Am I making sense?
Sir, I am on a holiday and I think everything is safe and sound and secure with my home. But actually my home has been robbed inside out, completely ransacked. And you have blissfully enjoying your holiday. You have gone to Hawaii. You are in the Hawaii. Hawaii ho raha hai, yahan pe Hawaii ho raha hai. Sab pura ho gaya. So everything is gone cleaned up. Now you are in Hawaii. Why are you in Hawaii? Because you did not know that my house. No. I'm not saying anything wrong in going to a holiday for a or not Hawaii. I'm only thinking of Hawaii. I'm also in Hawaii now. That's the problem. Your mind gets slipped away very easily. I need to do a lot more tapas to be concentrated. RPG, please give me some practical tools how not to get distracted. Maybe it can be a one-to-one session. I don't want to advertise my ignorance to everybody. Now, Hiranji, you've gone for a holiday. There's nothing wrong with that. But you do not know that your house is robbed. The moment you come back, the police, the local community has been trying to reach you, but you have switched off because you didn't want to carry a number roaming in a foreign country or a foreign place, wherever it is. You are not reachable, let's say. The moment you come back, what happens to your mental state? Obviously, you're completely shattered, isn't it? Man, in fact, it's spellbound, you're shocked. So what is going on? But it happened 3 days ago. Did it matter to you? You did not know, sir.
We didn't know, yeah.
That's all I'm saying. You did not know what you have lost. But the moment the knowledge of your loss comes to you, you stand up and take a note on and take a stock, what have I lost? So it is still that point of awareness. Ignorance protects you. But not in the right sense. As you said, you are oblivious. You do not know what has happened. You do not know the purpose of life. So there are many, many out there who don't even know that what is the purpose of life. Everybody is thinking that every stage of my life, I need to acquire something new and try to make my life a little more merrier and jollyful and peaceful and happy for myself, thinking that it is that new toy, that new experience is going to add beauty and grandeur to my life. You think that is what life is. You have done that. You've added a new toy, you've added a new feather in your cap, you've added a new experience, you're given a new dimension. It's like, I knew of a student, every time I used to see, he also appear different. Where is our dear friend, Harish? I'll also show him to you also. I'm sure you all know him. Where are you?
Guruji.
Hariam Harish. I used to, in fact, meet him almost every week. He used to come from Hong Kong to Malaysia almost every week. You know, his family was here, so he used to come from Hong Kong, and we used to meet for the classes. Am I right, Harish?
Yes, Guruji. Correct.
Almost on a weekly basis. He used to plan his travel around the classes so that he used to fly up and down from Hong Kong to Malaysia. So I used to meet him, and every time I met him, not necessarily every time, maybe twice a month, I used to certainly see him. Every week I see him, he's a different person. Why? Different mush style, different beard. And it took him this long to completely clean it up. Isn't it?
Yes, Guruji.
Thank you, Harish. Now, why was I talking of Harish's beard? Now suddenly, see, I don't know what's happening. I'm completely losing my track. What is going on? What's going on? Harish, now your beard is coming and disturbing my class, Harish. I don't know, your mush and beard. What was I saying?
Guruji, you're saying we are accumulating new toys and things every stage of our lives because there's a constant void all the time.
Yeah, you're trying to fill that undercurrent of a void with many things in your life, thinking that that might give you a spice, that might give you a new dimension to life, but it is not going to fill that void because you have not fulfilled the primary purpose and objective of life is to get to the truth. This is the reason. Thank you, Harish. Since you have not served the very objective or purpose of life, anything that you do in life will remain a void. There will not be satisfaction. You may not get to the truth, but the fact that you've embarked on this journey itself gives you the satisfaction. It's not the question. Believe me, it is never the question of reaching the goal. It is the question of the process. It's always the process, but never the proceeds. If you get the process right, and the verse is only trying to get your thoughts in the right process, right framework, just for God's sake, does this bother you? It bothers me. It sets my thoughts in motion, in the direction set by them. You don't have to think wild. Just set the thought in motion in the direction set by them. And there's enough food out there to satisfy that hunger, that spiritual hunger. If you have that hunger, there's enough out there to satisfy you. Believe me, there's enough food out there. You know, Matthew Arnold, the famous thinker, philosopher, Matthew Arnold says, life is like an arrow shot in darkness. Imagine you are sitting in an auditorium and you're looking at a stage. The stage is well lit, bright. The rest of the auditorium is darkened. And you're seeing a show. Suddenly there's an arrow that is shot from one end of the stage, which is behind the curtains. You know? Somebody shoots an arrow. Life is like an arrow which is shot from one end of the stage. It comes from darkness. It flutters in light for a while and again disappears into the darkness other side of the stage. So he says life is like an arrow shot in darkness, flutters in light for a while, disappears into the darkness. So what you see is that few moments in the light. It comes from darkness, it goes from darkness. Where have I come from? Where am I going to go? Why have I come? It is, and in this moment of fluttering in light, You lost your purpose, you lost your focus. You just got enamored by all the glittery show, and you've forgotten to ask the fundamental questions. Serious questions. You may not, no, please don't, you have to get this right. You may not find an answer to it. When would you find an answer to it, Ramji? It is not the question of finding an answer, but it's a question of questioning these questions. Write down this simple, meaningless words. It is not the question of finding an answer to these questions. It's a question of questioning these questions. The question is, are you questioning? Ramji, when would you ever know the truth behind these questions?
Well, if you, Hari Om Guruji,
Namaskar.
if you find the truth, then you have achieved self-realization. So I think that is the end
Yes.
of your journey. Yeah.
So the truth comes to you at the point of realization. Till then, you do not know who you truly are, isn't it?
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean you will be dissatisfied until you get to the truth, is it?
No, I think you keep discovering, you keep progressing. So that discovery, that process of discovery makes you more and more satisfied, you can say, with the progress that you are making. Although you know that you have not reached the end, but you are making progress.
Immense progress. It's it's the process that gives you the satisfaction. And
Yeah.
it's actually, it's like a flower that's blooming, and at every stage it looks so beautiful. And a flower, when it fully blooms, it looks truly majestic, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
life is, spiritual life is like a flower blooming,
Yeah.
So a very good, G. So it's not the question of answer. So it doesn't matter where you are in the spiritual ladder. That's what we conclude in this argument, that it doesn't matter. You could be 10% of your spiritual status. You could be 90% of your spiritual status. It is whether have I set my thoughts in the right motion. And to the extent you have the true inquiry, the effort, then the wisdom starts revealing itself. The purpose of life gets clearer. Okay, if I can ask Arpitji, what should not be the purpose of life? It's very easy to say what should be the purpose. If I were to ask you, can you say what should not be the purpose?
I don't know if there's one answer, Hari Om Guruji.
Yes.
But
No, you're right. There can't be one answer, but at least we need to know what not to do, isn't it?
right. So one of the things is not to get caught up in, I think as you said it, the trinkets and fleeting pleasures of the world, right? Not to get immersed in that is one thing that you want to avoid. That's going to create just more vasana, more desire, more running after that which is futile, which is never going to provide you any sort of eternal satisfaction.
So you say you should not run behind the external fleeting joys? Is it what you're saying?
Yes.
But there's no harm in getting what you need, isn't it? You can always go and get, you need a car, go and pick up a car. You need a phone, go and pick up a phone. You need a house, go and pick up a house. Whatever you need, go and get it. But understand that is not everything in life, man, isn't it? Just getting a house is not everything. Just not having a phone is not everything. Oh no, my God. How much a person gets excited when they're getting the first phone in their life. Can't contain the joy, I tell you. Rajima. So much joy. She knows of a news, that's why she's reacting such way, and I want to remain it a secret that way, please. It's between me and her, that's all. But so much of joy, somebody has an excitement because they're getting a phone in their life for the first time. Oh, I can't contain the joy. That kind of an excitement, yeah. And you and I, you say, why are you getting so excited? Isn't it, Arvindji? Sorry, you wanted to say something, but You can get, there's no harm, and you don't have to hold on to gramophone still. You go and pick
Yeah.
up whatever life can, but that's
But it
not everything.
becomes like an appendage to you, right? An extension of your body, your mind, it's like it's attached to you, right? And if something happens to it, something happens to you.
Raise your hands a little bit. Let us see.
Exactly.
Raise. No, we can't see it clearly. Raise it, lift it. See here, no appendages. No this is what
Oh, you're
Vedanta
right.
teaches you. No appendages. Okay. RPG, no appendages. Not that you
No.
should not wear, please wear. You're right, you're right. No appendage. But any appendage is only going to weigh you down, pin you down, isn't it?
Yes.
It's like you're wearing a haversack, you're on a day tour somewhere, and you're carrying all your essentials, your snacks, your drinks, your extra jacket, and you're wearing that backpack. Initially, you're so excited that you put everything, and then you put on your sneakers, you put on your shoes, you want to go, let's have a blast with the family. After 1 hour of walking, my back is hurting, shoulders are hurting. I told you we should get a better bag. Oh, you get a better bag, but still it is an appendage because it's not a part of you. As long as a part of you, which is excess also, you may say, sir, this extra fat in my body is a part of me. But since it's not a real, wholesome, truly part of you, it bothers you, doesn't it? Sriniji, correct? A fellow who's so obese and he can barely walk, you think he feel comfortable with that extra all around? Extra health all over there, all over everywhere, extra health. You think he's happy with that extra health? Nah, that also is an appendage. So there is something called an ideal health. The moment until you reach the ideal state, that imperfection of health haunts you, bothers you, insults you, teases you, wants you to get to that perfect state. Similarly, there is something called as a perfect life. And that starts when you start this inquiry. Everything else can't dismiss that, can't satisfy that imperfection. There's the feeling of imperfection, the feeling of, man, this is not it. This is not it. This is not it. So what not to do? I'll hear from Sriniji and I'll get to Harish. I know Harish wants to say something. Sriniji, any comments? Can you think afresh and say what not to do?
I think you've covered it a lot. You gave a lot of examples.
I know you will say that. I knew you said that. I knew, because RPG would say RPG has given everything, so there's nothing more for me to say. I know you would say that. But I really love the word but. It makes life very interesting, isn't it?
Questions. You're questioning.
Yeah. Anything? No, not that you have to say, but is there anything that you can look at and say, this is not what should be,
See, the issue is, I think the mind is so fickle that it keeps chasing things. So till you control the mind, these appendages will keep continuing.
You hit the nail on the head. So the problem is not the external things. The problem is your inability to keep your mind in its place, isn't it? But if you have your mind under your control, nothing is a blessing or a curse per se, isn't it? It's how you deal with it. It's what you make of it. Fantastic. I know you said very little, but you said it all. I must say that, it all boils down to your internal ability to relate with it, to deal with it. Very true. Thank you, Ji. Yes, Harish, please.
Guruji, can you hear me?
Yes.
Guruji.
Now we actually can't hear you. Now, yes. Okay.
Guruji, this also comes to mind, Guruji, about the questioning the question. This is where I've heard, the terminology, we all, or most of us, go through what they call a midlife crisis when we hit in our 40s or 50s.
I don't know that.
Sorry?
I don't know that. It doesn't
Okay.
exist in my dictionary. Don't
Okay.
introduce new things into my life which has no meaning to me. I'm only following the verse says, dismiss everything which is meaningless, which is essenceless. Don't talk such essenceless statements. Next.
No, what I'm trying to say is that most people.
Very sorry, Harish.
Fine, it's fine.
I tell you, I can take the liberty with Harish. I will not take with anybody. I will not take with anybody else. That's the kind of connection we have.
Okay, Guruji.
Off screen, on screen. I know that's the bond we have. But yes, Harish, sorry, I know where you're getting at. Please go ahead.
I think most people, I won't say all, maybe I'll say most people, there's a terminology in this world that people say, oh, he or she is going through a midlife crisis, or I'm going through a midlife crisis, or he's going through a midlife crisis. And this happens most of the time, I think, between the ages of 40s and 50s, somewhere along those lines. And from my understanding is that in our youth, we are so ignorant and immature that many times we have no time or we're ignorant to question so many things. But I think certain experiences throughout our journey between 20 and 40 or 50, it wakes us up somewhere, it opens our eyes somewhere, and hence the questioning starts at that point for a lot of people, a lot of us. Hence, I think the word midlife crisis comes that there's a pause and what am I doing? Why am I doing it? Why am I here? All these questions come about. And it happens more so on that age bracket. And just wanted to share that I think this is, when you're saying it's not about finding the answers, but about questioning these questions, I think it may relate to a midlife crisis point for many of us in the world in our ages of 40s or 50s, as far as I would understand that. Because experiences have helped us understand that we thought we wanted something, but at that point in our age and life, we realized this is not what we wanted, and it's never what we wanted. And when we got into all the entanglements, I think we're trying now to untangle those entanglements that we tangled ourselves with. So we're trying to wonder, why did I tangle myself up with so many of these things? I want to untie myself back again because I tied up my own self. So hence, I think these the questions come where in the physical world, the midlife crisis terminology, I'm assuming, would have transpired.
Question, the questioning, untangle the tangle, it's all very poetic. Huh? Yeah, but in simple terms, you didn't have a manual to life, as simple as that.
Correct.
You didn't have something which gave you a direction to your life. So you were directionless, meandering, believing that was everything life has to offer. And therefore you're left high and dry, realizing I've only been chasing a mirage, thinking that's everything in life that could satisfy your thirst, but that is not going to satisfy. And either you learn that through knowledge or through experience. And since many are not wise, they learn through experience, having led that life and having consumed their life and that valuable time. You've learned the valuable lesson, having lost that opportunity, lost an opportunity. So therefore, it is important that this wisdom, with concern, there must be that so much concern in each of you that it should go to people as early as they can be introduced so that they can get this direction to life. That's all we are saying. You don't have to do anything different into your life. Just add this wisdom into your life. You know, when I first had a mocha, Arpinji, what's a mocha? You know what's a mocha?
Like a coffee, like a mocha coffee.
Yeah, but coffee with the
it has chocolate in it. Yeah.
A mocha is a coffee with a twist with chocolate in it. That's all we are saying. Just add this chocolate into your life. It's going to make it beautiful. I'm just giving an example. When I had that first many years ago, I said, this tastes lovely. it just, I enjoyed it. I'm putting, I don't know, 20 years ago when I first had it, but then I don't have milk now and things like that. So I don't enjoy that anymore. But just saying it's true, we have just simple coffee and just add a spoon of chocolate, it makes it very different. I'm only saying bring this wisdom into your life and you see how it changes the complexion of your life. It's a totally different offering thereafter. Okay, now the second half of the verse is what that gives us the methodology. So here he says, renounce the entire world as essenceless, as a mere imagination, as a mere dream. In fact, Cleopatra, she said, I once, when she was overcome with grief, she said, Cleopatra said, I dreamt of an emperor called Anthony. It was history. I dreamt. So it all was a reality at the time, but it's all my imaginations now. Everything in your life is just your imagination. Now, I remember throwing this concept to you in some context, I'm not sure, but it makes so much sense to revisit that with this perspective. Reality has three standpoints. The three standpoints of reality are an absolute reality, no reality, vis-a-vis relative reality. Reality has three standpoints. One is absolute reality. Second is no reality. The third is a relative reality. Everything in life is subjected to these strings. You know? Now, I'll take a couple of examples. When you go to a stadium to watch a match, you want to watch golf, or you can't go to a stadium to watch golf, sorry. You know, the moment I look at Sriniji, only golf comes. That's the reason. Distraction. For a while, switch off your camera. Okay. Want to watch tennis, or you want to watch cricket, you go into a stadium. And there's so much of euphoria. There are 50,000 people, 100,000 people, and so much of fanfare, excitement, fun, the game, the spectacle. It is so much real for you, isn't it? And you're enjoying, you're gone with your family, you've taken your nephew and niece with you. It's all a good time. In the evening, you spend 4 or 5 hours. You felt that exuberance, the joy, that excitement. What you should do, go back to the same stadium next evening, same time. Same stadium, go into the same seat, the same view, the grand stands you wanted, you got through your membership, that grandstand you could get, so you have the best view in the stadium. Vaitama, you go back to that same place and sit. What do you see?
An empty stadium.
With a lot of rubbish everywhere around you. Because the cleaning services has not kicked in yet. Or people are cleaning the thing, isn't it? Now, what is the stand you had the day when you watched, like yesterday when you saw the match, today when you see? What is the standpoint?
You had a lot of excitement and happiness while watching the match, but subsequently when there's really nothing going on, it doesn't bring any kind of emotion, or there's really nothing that you feel.
Yes. So can you it's past. It's past. You know, everything passes. Nothing stays. Nothing is permanent, isn't it? But if you can answer this, I said reality has three standpoints. There is the absolute reality. There
No
is relative reality and no reality. Now, yesterday, what was the experience?
Absolute reality.
Yesterday was an absolute reality. Today,
No reality.
what happened to everybody out there? What happened to that 50,000 people? What happened to that excitement of that tournament? What happened to all that joy? It's gone. Isn't it? It has no reality. We are all caught up in this moment. That moment just draws you away, and you have no objectivity. You don't have the capacity, the wisdom to be influenced either by the absolute reality or the no reality. Both of them affect you, isn't it? You feel, man, what happened to all that spectacle? It was there yesterday. It's gone. Nothing is there. Nobody is there. It's all therefore in your own
Mind.
So in your own mind, man, isn't it? Therefore, what do we need to cultivate? We need to cultivate an attitude of
Detachment or equanimity.
you are not thinking along with me, Vanitama. What is it you need to cultivate?
A mind of equanimity, where
You are still not thinking along with me.
thoughtless.
No. What are three things you said? What are three things we said just now?
Absolute reality, relative reality, and no reality.
Okay. Yesterday was?
Absolute reality.
Today is?
No reality.
What should you cultivate?
Oh, relative reality.
You must cultivate that attitude of relative reality. So you must learn to live every moment with that perspective of instilling a relative reality. No doubt it is real now. It is not going to be real forever. That is the wisdom you need to be able to deal with every experience and what every experience brings to your shore of your life. Every experience takes you to a certain shore of your life, and then you think it's everything. The name I've got is everything. The joy I've got is everything. The success I've got is everything. Or the grief I'm going through is everything. No, it is not. An experience has taught you, but you have not gathered the wisdom from your experience. You become very philosophical and say, yes, sir, nothing is permanent. But have you got that wisdom to be able to maintain the relative reality at that moment? So the verse is only trying to tell. It doesn't put in these words. I'm only trying to put it in a contemporary thought and language so that you understand that those ancient great textbooks, how can I apply it now? You can't say there is no reality to it, nor can you start putting up an altar, what you see among, especially this madness is everywhere. But I am reminded people start construct temples around these celebrities. I don't know whether it happens in US, but here it happens. Vijay Raghavanji, I'm sure you have heard, isn't it? Temples are constructed around celebrities. So the Sanctum Sanctorum, they have the life-size statue of that celebrity. And I wonder, it's no difficult fundraising for them. Funds flows.
Particularly for actors and actresses.
That's what I'm saying. Celebrities. These are the celebrities in the film fraternity, isn't it? Nowadays, everybody has, I think so. Most of them have, because thanks to the
adulation culture,
idealizing culture of the fan club they have, isn't it? But what do you call that?
not realizing that they are also human.
Very much. But can you
And
speak
have
in
an
the terms,
exaggerated view of them and then projection of them.
an exaggerated view, an exaggerated projection? In fact, can you speak in the terms of the three realities we have said? So I'm just trying to drill everything with these three perspectives. What do you call that?
That's
The
no,
fan club. I'm sorry.
no reality.
No. Let me bring you back to the context, sir. There is a charming personality, whether a hero or a heroine, and the fans are so awed by the person, the personality. They go about temple pratishthan they have done. For who? For Amitabh Bachchan, or for Khushbu, or some boo. You go and create a temple and you plant that an idol and start doing arati, and literally what you do, ritual arati, flowers, all these things. All this is what, Vijayji? The three realities, that's all. Please say the three realities, which is the reality fits in here.
They're making them into gods is relative reality. And that they are not God, they're just mere people is no reality. I don't know, I'm slightly confused, Guruji. In this particular example, I cannot interpret easily.
Okay. Can we go back to the example which I have interacted with Vaitama? I said,
Yes.
the tournament you go, the tournament is
Reality. Yeah,
no, not just reality. What reality?
absolute reality.
Yes, the
absolutely.
tournament was absolutely real for you. The same stadium today is
No
no
reality.
reality. No reality, isn't it? So absolute reality has become no reality. And we are saying you must cultivate a sense of relative reality, isn't it? Are you with me on this?
Yes.
Now come to the example. There is a personality who takes to the stage and entertains audience. But when you go into a theater and watch the performance, it's like walking into a stadium. You're walking into a theater, that's all. That is
Yes,
absolute reality.
Absolutely.
No, don't get into other things. I'm trying to convey only these 3 points. I'm trying to go step by step. Walking into a theater is like walking into a stadium, which is
Absolute reality.
absolute reality. Go back into the theater 2 hours after the cinema is shut down for the day. What do you
There's no
see?
reality.
There is no reality. There is no screen. There is no audience. There is no projector. Nothing is there. Nothing is happening. It's dead screen. There's nothing there. All that was only a mere projection on the screen. All that hangama. And then all that hangama, you go out creating a temple, worshipping, because all that euphoria. Now I ask you, that euphoria is what?
That's relative.
Okay. Don't mute yourself. Let me get somebody else. Who? Srinivas Reddy Garu. That creating, you may say, sir, why are you spending so much time? I'm only trying to spend time so that the message gets carried across.
Yeah, they are, Pranam Guruji, they are living in
Yes.
a relative reality. Because when the movie is on, there is an absolute reality, and when screen is off, meant to say after some time, it's no reality. But still, they are adoring with the temples and everything. They are living in a current reality.
You mean to say every celebrity must be constructed a temple, you start worshipping them as gods and make them demigods and start visiting the temple? And I'm asking about that. I'm asking about that. Creation of a temple is what reality? Is it absolute, no, or relative?
It's no reality.
Sir, I can't, I do not know whether I'm able to convey, or is it so difficult to get this?
It's a different perception, Guruji. Now, like
No, do you? Let me clarify, Sriniji. Let me ask you this: do you endorse the creation of a temple?
No, we don't endorse.
You don't endorse. Okay.
That's absolutely.
Do you accept that it is just going overboard, ridiculous that you go and build a temple
It's
around a
absolutely-
personality? It is. Are you not going overboard about it as if it is everything in life for you?
Yes.
So doesn't it get the status of absolute reality?
Okay.
You get what I'm saying, sir?
I got the message.
Vijayji, do you get what I'm saying? Somebody just gets so overwhelmed with an emotion and you just get carried away, and there's a fan club which adds fuel to fire and say, somebody moots an idea, let's do this. Oh yes, let's do this. Collect funds, and it all starts rolling in. And before you realize, there's a piece of land, there's a structure there, there's a vigraha there, everything is reality. But somebody
Not only
out
that,
there,
Guruji, I think,
yes,
sorry to interrupt you. I think you have been saying of late, they put milk on the posters. And they do so many nonsense things.
What?
They do happen.
I'm no one to say is right sense or nonsense. It's for them. I'm only trying to borrow an example from that. They make it. Yes, it appears. It seems ridiculous, man. What are you doing here? You're treating them as gods, and these people are just playing a role. In fact, the dichotomy is they are wrong examples for the societies to follow. I'm not pinning anybody out there. I admire them on screen, but what their lives off screen is a disaster. Therefore, society is having wrong role models. I'm not doubting their talent. I would go into a theater to enjoy, but they are not to be considered as life models and role models. And you say, I want to emulate them. You want to do what they do? For God's sake, you got to have, I got to have, we all got to have some clarity and put them. They are meant to be entertainers on screen. If there's something that can be emulated from them, yes, why not? Even off screen. But understand, they are not just because you see every time you switch on the camera, you see Shah Rukh Khan. You think he's God on earth? No, it is just sheer principle of advertisement, principle of imposing that thoughts on you. They overwhelm you, but that is not the reality. So there is this absolute reality. There is no reality. You can't live in these two unreal realms. This is what I'm trying to communicate. You've got to learn to live in a relative reality. I'll give one more example, and then I give up. And you decide which reality you want to live in. You know, like some of you, all of you are aware that we had an offering, a program called Eternal Wisdom Manual to Life, which got concluded yesterday. And it went on very well. That's what I believe. We all believe it has resonated well with everybody out there who participated. There was effort, considerable effort put by everybody to make it happen. And there was certain excitement, there was certain satisfaction we all had that we have done a great job. Now, that was yesterday. Now, what about today? Does it exist? Eternal Wisdom Manual to Life program, does it exist? It's gone. I must learn to live this moment, not yesterday, isn't it? So the only way you will learn to live with life is to live in the present, and the present has a sense of relative reality. Please understand that. Everything else has no meaning, no pith, no substance. And in order to bring in that sense of relative reality to your life so that you get grounded, you look at life from two perspectives. The two perspectives you take to life. Just to make sure you're all following the thought. There are three realities. I've said absolute reality, relative reality, no reality. In order to live a life of relative reality, you must have two perspectives to life. The two perspectives you carry is a horizontal view and a vertical view to life. And a horizontal view is when you are experiencing certain joy or sorrow, whatever it be, look at that experience compared to around you horizontally. Compare it to everybody around you going through that experience. I am going through extreme I'm distorted, I'm broken, I'm going through grief, I'm going through emotional challenges because of this pandemic, my business is lost, my family is in trouble. Compare that experience with everybody out there in the world out. Compare to the 8 billion people. When you compare that experience to the 8 billion people, what would happen? Srini Kumar, what would happen, sir? When I compare my experience with the 8 billion people around me horizontally, what would happen to my problem?
I'm making a guess here that it would expand vertically. That means you either get immersed deeper, positively or negatively.
I don't think from the answer, I think you've not understood my question. I'm not saying answer is wrong, but I don't know whether you got the spirit where I'm questioning. My problem is 100 units problem I've got.
Mhm.
It has really broken my life now. I'm only saying, examine this problem with reference to what everybody around you is a horizontal view. Am I right? You're just looking at around you. So when you look around you, there are 8 billion people. I'm just trying to give it figuratively. When you look at that perspective, what will happen to my, which is 100 units of problem, which is everything for life, what happens to it? Doesn't it get divided by 8 billion times?
Minimizes. It gets minimized.
It becomes minimized almost to the extent becomes insignificant, isn't it?
Mhm.
Non-existential, because all the problem, as you yourself said earlier, it's not in the world, it's in my mind.
Mhm.
So if I'm making a mountain of it, it's because in my mind. But the moment I take that horizontal view and say, man, everybody is going through it. Everybody in the city is in lockdown. Everybody has some different challenges. Everybody is going through. So why am I making a big fuss about it? Let me accept it gracefully and see, yes, it is an experience I'm going through. You are able to realign your thoughts to make it a relative reality. You're aligning your thoughts to make it, yes, this is real, but I should not make it an absolute reality. Man, no, let me look at it this way. Point one. Same thing, you look at a challenge you've gone through, or a certain joy, or a certain profit, or a certain ecstatic moment you're going through. Compare this vertically. Harishji, when you compare this vertically in your life, what do you look at it?
Hariom Guruji, me?
Yes. If you look at it vertically, how do you look at you? The loss you're going through now, or the profit you are experiencing, the joy you're experiencing now, how do you view it vertically in your own life?
When you look at it vertically, when you only concentrate on this, it seems much larger.
Yes, perfect. But when you take the vertical view in the backdrop of all the multifold experiences you had in your life, what would you say?
Again, it would minimize, it would be not so relevant.
But how would it make it, how would it minimize?
It would become relative to what all is the other experiences.
How? You're right. It's, in fact, you're actually right. It becomes relative. All right. I will leave it at that. Setuji, and then I'll come to Vijayji.
Hariom Guruji.
Yes, sir.
It will get minimized because you will feel, this too shall pass. This sorrow was earlier there, it has gone. Joy also, nothing, everything is perishable.
Everything goes. But don't you think that this moment of joy is just another experience of joy? I had many experiences of such ecstatic moments in my life. This just adds into the list of experiences of joy, or this adds into the list of experience of sorrow. So there's nothing big about this current experience of joy or sorrow, man. Isn't it? Doesn't it give you, because I've already experienced many joys, perhaps more joyous moments or more grief moments. So there's nothing great about this specific moment I'm going through. Instantly it gives you a sense of relative reality. You start dealing with the situation than being affected by the situation. You understand? So you must start injecting that, seriously injecting that sense of relative reality at whatever stage of your life, and you are at some stage in your life. And when you start injecting this relative reality, you play the role what you have to play to the best of your ability. You're not carried by all that's happening around you. Ultimately, you will start realizing that there is something greater, something more meaningful, something more purposeful beyond the relative reality. You have time. You have time that you can do something more with life. Otherwise, everybody is running behind their own things that mean so much to them. You don't have time for anything else. I tell you, I don't know how many of you are able to relate to it, but it gives you a practical solution to how you can apply this serious inquiry into your life. Otherwise, something out there has consumed you. Your mind is not available for the higher. Why is your mind not available for the higher, Vijayji? I'll come back to you. Of which reality is it that is responsible that your mind is not available for the higher? I know you will certainly get it right, sir. What of, Vijayji, what of the three realities will fit in that your mind is not available for the higher?
Absolute reality, in where you're spending the time at the present moment without questioning whether it is true or not.
Correct. We are getting carried away as if it's everything in life. Enjoy the moment, not get swept away or carried away with it. You must learn to swim, not be swept away by the current waters. Anybody can get swept away by the current of the waters, but a good swimmer will enjoy the current but doesn't get swept away. That is a true swimmer. So you must enjoy the current. If you are a strong swimmer, you can sail through even a strong current. You can swim through strong currents. There are people who swam across the English Channel. What are we talking about? I'm not just talking swimming in the pool. What strength they must have, what stamina they must have. I'm drawing a parallel to it. Haresh, you're following, Haresh? Vijayji, just a moment, I'll come to you. Just a moment. Yes, Haresh, please. Can Haresh be given the access, please?
Guruji, can you hear me?
Yes, can hear you now, yes.
From what I understand, Guruji, from all the examples, is that we think we are living in absolute reality every time when we are not conscious of it. We are just going with it, thinking it's absolute reality. Is that from what I understand?
No, not thinking it is as, it's not that you're thinking, you're making of it. In fact, you can say it's your thinking has made it as an absolute reality. Yes, you can say that, but the advice is when you have this wisdom, you will be able to convert the absolute reality to a relative reality. Understand, yes, I have a problem at hand, I have to deal with it, but let it not completely I'm afraid of using the word paralyzed, because when I use the word paralyzed, there's a team of people who are scrutinizing the words I use and said, Guruji, you can't use the word paralyzed. So I'm afraid, Ramji, I'm very afraid, Ramji. The reports, the post-mortem reports come to me and I'm afraid. What to say, when to say, how to say. Am I allowed to use the word paralyzed, Ramji, here? I can use, no? But what happens is when you are paralyzed, what happens? You become incapacitated. That's what I meant. You know, extreme sorrow also, you become paralyzed, isn't it? Extreme joy also, you get paralyzed. You don't know what to do. You can't take the right decision. There's so much happening, isn't it? So we are only saying, just be a little objective. Look at it from a relative perspective. You know, in fact, there was a beautiful quote. One made Ramji, you know. I hope you all can see this. Khalil Gibran, the famous, I think he's a Persian poet. He says, in the magnifying glass of the man's eye, the magnifying glass of a man's eye, the world looks greater than it is. It looks greater. It looks bigger. It looks more significant. It looks more real than it is. Why? Because of my magnifying glass. It is actually not. It could be a pinprick of a problem, but because of my magnifying glass, I've made a pinprick into a mountain. So we are only saying, remove the magnifying glass and look at life as it is, man. Why do you have to look at it from a magnifying glass? No, obviously, the way with which the word magnifying glass in the context is used only to convey how you are making things as an absolute reality and getting dwarfed by your own creation. It's like magnifying, the absolute reality is like making a Frankenstein, isn't it? What is a Frankenstein? Frankenstein is, RPG, what is Frankenstein? How do you pronounce it? Frankenstein, whichever way you pronounce it. The word is the same.
It's a monster that Dr. Frankenstein created of his own doing. And it overtook everything. Yeah.
Including him, isn't it?
Including him.
Including the creator. So you are the creator, and the world you're living in is your creation, your job, your family, your belongings, your possessions, your investments, everything is your creation. So the creation should not consume the creator. And it consumes the creator. When does it consume the creator, Arviji?
When you allow the mind to let it consume you, when the mind runs amok. Oh. When it becomes the absolute reality.
You got it. You got it. You make it the absolute reality. It consumes you. So another way of understanding absolute reality is a Frankenstein. Am I right? Perfect. I think Vijayji, you still have something to say. I think Ramji also wants to say something. I think 1 minute. Yes. I have a couple of them want to convey as well. Please. Yes, sir.
Just keep it short, Guruji. I was thinking that whenever we encounter problems and then go into the vertical view and think of all the similar problems or things which you have encountered in the past, like you mentioned, in fact, I was thinking of the same word, like your mind gets stunned or paralyzed. And it's more inwards about ourselves, that we have to face the problem. But the moment we go through the vertical view and this problem becomes smaller and smaller, it allows the intellect to surface and fully think about how to face it. Intellect which has got submerged because of all this paralysis, I think surfaces. I'm looking at it purely from a work situation. Or,
no, in
otherwise,
fact,
we are more worried about how can this happen to me. You don't really worry that it's just a problem.
Correct. In fact, the vertical view and the horizontal view and trying to make things a relative reality is the application and usage of the intellect. If the intellect doesn't function, that I must engage these two viewpoints and make it relative real, I'm overwhelmed by the mind. Your mind takes over, the emotions take over and you succumb to it. But the moment intellect comes in, I bring my clarity and say, man, hey, let's examine this problem. No, there's a problem, but I've had similar such problems. There has been moments I've dealt with it. There are moments I didn't deal with it, but it's just one such problem in the long history of my life, man. So what am I making of it? So the intellect comes and rationalizes the problem. And the problem never is not a problem anymore because you have a solution for it, because you have not become emotional.
And the problem shifts away from us as an individual. It becomes a problem.
Yes. Then let's make it others' problem.
Yeah.
Please don't do that. Let's not do that. Okay. All right. All right. Wonderful, Vijayji. Yes, Ramji.
I was only just trying to say that this word absolute creates some understanding problem, because we normally understand absolute as absolute. Absolute is the true thing, because we use that word with absolute truth. So when you say absolute reality, everybody thinks first that that is the real reality. And then what we are actually concluding is that that is a false reality, actually. It is not the real reality. So that's why I think it took some time to understand it.
Fair
And
enough.
what we call as no reality is actually the reality. Because in real, there is no spectacle. It is just an imagination. So in the context of the verse, actually, what we are calling absolute reality is the imagination. A dream born out of an imagination, as the verse says, is what is
Yes.
absolute reality. And no reality.
Sorry, G, you are too fast for us. I know we need to catch up with people like you, but can you come a little slow, sir? Can you come back to it again,
No,
please?
I was saying that in the verse, as we say that a dream born out of imagination, that is what we have to
Yes.
renounce. We have to renounce that, because that is the world. It is essenceless as a dream born out of imagination.
Correct.
So that is
correct.
actually absolute reality, what we are talking about.
So what is that? What is absolute reality?
It is something that you have imagined to be real. It is actually a temporary spectacle, which could be life, which could be a problem, which could be a drama, which could be a sports event, whatever it is. So that is what you are living in, considering it to be the real reality, but that is actually a temporary thing. So I'm just trying to decode this word absolute, because that word absolute has a different meaning in other contexts for us. So what we call it as absolute reality here is actually the imagined reality, right? But what we are calling as no reality is...
So the imagined reality is the experiences you're going through. Am I right?
Correct. Exactly.
Which is exactly what we said of watching a movie in the theater or in the stadium.
Exactly.
Are we right? Isn't it?
Exactly. It could be the emotions you go through in life, whatever.
Correct.
Everything.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's that you have made it an absolute reality, isn't it?
We are making it as a real reality, but actually it is a false reality. It is not real.
Yeah, actually. So when you take the vertical view, what happens? Yeah, so much has gone. But you can't say it is not real, no? Can you say it's not real? I'm having a problem to deal with. I know you're coming again. It will be a play of words. In fact, in absolute sense, I have to use this word. In absolute sense, absolute reality refers to the Brahman, the state of self-realization. So I gave it a practicality to this concept of these three worlds, three realities. But in absolute reality, Brahman alone is real. Don't we say Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya?
Yeah.
Brahman is absolute reality. No reality is the world.
Correct.
But for whom is that? That is the very easiest explanation. I actually took the difficult route to explain. The whole class went by because I took the half of the class I was explaining this. The easy thing is say Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya. Brahman is real, world is unreal. For whom? For a man of realization. So for you and me, what should we do? How to get that experience, that state of absolute reality? Live a life of relative reality. Understand it's not permanent. One day you will reach a state of absolute reality and realize Brahman. Full stop, chapter close. Let's move on. But that is the easiest interpretation. Ramji, isn't it? That's very easy to take that. But I can understand the the little difficulty there was perhaps in interpreting the word absolute reality, because often we
correct.
describe that.
Yeah,
Huh?
correct.
But I hope the clarification is clear. You all understand the context of it now. Can I have a show of thumb, everybody, please? You all have got it? Okay, right. Perfect. Right. Thank you, Ramji, for the clarification. Okay. I think we will have to leave at it. I think we'll come back. If there's anything, we can take it up again. Thank you. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha. Hari Om.